Next question.
In the last episode, you were talking about chemtrails and contrails. What are your thoughts on the higher-ups tampering with nature?
Oh, geez, that is a tricky one to answer. Look, they love playing with us, right? Which is very, very, it's completely egregious, right? It's like, don't these people have better things to do with their lives? And the answer is, no, they don't. They don't. Tampering with nature, tampering with human beings, tampering with our minds, tampering with our food. It's endless. It's endless, man. And the thing is, I think that what they want to do, ideally, is they would like to wipe us all out, if they could. But they need us, and they kind of, I guess we are useful idiots, because we, even though we know this, we still don't react in the way that you should when we know that when our families are in harm's way, and we are aware that we're living in a paradigm that they have created for us. So it really is a hard question to answer, but they're never going to stop, all right? No matter which way you put it, no matter which way you cut it, they will never stop. They've been at this for, what, a couple of centuries and more, right? They look at us as a piece of crap on the bottom of their shoe. And I wouldn't mind, but they're pretty unimpressive. All right? They see themselves as intellectuals, smarter than us, the gentry of society, the 1% elite. It's all a bunch of bull, all right? These folks are just hand-me-downs, all right? You know, Nepo babies, going from century to century, generation to generation, and just really screwing things up for us. No other way to put it. I think certainly for me, one of the worst cases of what they have done with us is for sure tampering with our ability to think critically, critical thinking. And with that said, they've purposely removed the ability to debate. There was a time when journalists, real journalists, actually existed. Now you have a bunch of actors. You know, you've got people pretending to be journalists, all right? You know, giving themselves awards, you know, the Pulitzer Prize and all this stuff, when they've done nothing. They don't hold any of these politicians' feet to the fire, because they're all friends. They all live like 2 doors up from one another. And what do? Instead of like go knocking on their door and saying, "Oh, you, like, why have you been doing all this corruption and stuff?" No, they go around knocking on the door and say, "Hey, what time's dinner?" They all go and hang out with each other. Look at Fauci, look what he was doing. He was going around and hanging out with Jake Tapper, right? While the rest of us were bloody locked down, and they were coming out with these ridiculous, raucous rules of engagement to make us suffer. Him and bloody Jake and his missus were chilling, having, like, you know, tea and, you know, what is that? Tea and blooming cupcakes and all that stuff. Hanging out and probably, no doubt, laughing their asses off at the foolishness that this man had come up with. These are really wicked people, they really are. But moreover, considering that they are communists and Bolsheviks and Marxists and fascists, they love to call everyone else, they themselves are those very things, right? And I know that I'm digressing a little bit here, but it all kind of ties in the end. But yeah, look, They really are. They're having a laugh at our expense. And it's all about money, isn't it? You know, they want to make money. So doing these experimentations on animals, whether it's monkeys, dogs, cats, mice, the ridiculous things that they do, and they can pretty much just run roughshod on any nation that they want. And we are at the behest of their malevolence. It really is a sad state of affairs. But in the end, you would like to believe that there will be some kind of justice. I personally believe that they will continue to do what they're doing, and they will get away with everything. They will never see a day behind bars, and we are their victims. We are ultimately, we've been kidnapped, and we are being held to ransom. Brother, have a great night. Good luck, fellas. Take care, guys. See you Friday. Bless you. So yeah, we're living in the world that they have created for us. I want you to do this. I want you to imagine for a moment that we didn't have this kind of incessant overload of polarized politics, right? Can you imagine a world without all of that? Let it sink in. Imagine if we had our churches. Imagine if we had the Western world the way that it was meant to be. Imagine if you could just love your neighbor. You know, I mean, I'm sure that we'll fall out from time to time, but we fix the issue by discussing it. You know, maybe admitting that we're wrong from time to time. Apologizing, right? You know, instead of pissing people off all the time, what about actually putting the white flag up and then putting your hand out there and shaking hands and just admitting when you're wrong? But that's not the world we live in right now. The world we live in right now is like, it is an utter train wreck. It is car crash TV. And it is somewhat dystopian because that is ultimately, or penultimately, what they want for us. Meanwhile, they live in their castles on the hill. And I believe that at the minute, aren't they making underground like cities or something? I guess that they believe something's coming. Whatever that might be. I wonder what that could be. They really are. They never get tired. They never get tired. And they're all related to one another. All right? All related to each other. So this madness, this follow the science and all this crap, it really is just a bunch of bunker. And what they should do is allow us to eat healthy, eat organic food, grow it ourselves, and we should be allowed to take the amount of vitamins we want just to live and live longer, live without all of the narcotics and all the different drugs and all the different stuff that they have that are not actually meant to make you better, right? So let's get back to the point, which is this. Too much tampering, all right? Too much tampering. And again, my apologies for going off on a tangent. I do that from time to time. But nonetheless, you get the point. You get the point. And remember, they don't rule our lives. It's up to us to take care of ourselves and our families and not be sidetracked or distracted by what next intentions they have for us. All right? Look after yourself. You are what you eat. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode or installment of Coach's Corner. See you soon.